Episode 68, Pop Culture Goes International. I'm a die-hard Gen Xer, and that means I got to grow up in some of the best pop culture years of the late 70s all the way through the 80s. I was raised on Saturday morning cartoons, Peanut Butter Captain Crunch, and after-school syndications such as Adam West's Batman and Leave It to Beaver.
Father loves Beaver.
We also had some of the best mainstream TV and movies a kid could ever want. I remember growing up, learning to drive fast and stick it to the man with movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Convoy. One show specifically that I and many others adored every Friday night was the Dukes of Hazzard. Just a couple of good old boys, never meaning no harm, and thumbing their nose at the corrupt establishment. People wonder why I get so political. When I was 8, that Dodge Charger was the most amazing car I had ever seen. Well, until it was replaced a few years later by a talking Trans Am. V8 muscle that you knew wasn't street legal, but damn what I wouldn't give for a ride. Everything about that car was awesome. The motor, the sound, the roll cage, the whole package was aimed at their target audience. Kids like me. Now, when you're 8, you have the value, but not the appreciation of innocence. You don't understand things like systemic racism because you see people as people. I was taught that slavery was a dark time in history, but that's all over now and we can all move along. We had no real idea of who General Lee was historically, or that the flag meant different things to different people, good or bad. I saw a badass car jumping, kicking up dust, and speeding away from the long arm of the law, which wasn't always the helpful kind they told you about in kindergarten. I wanted to do an homage to the thrill of my childhood without the modern-day representation of division it would include. I've seen other Chargers, lovingly called General Grant and featuring the American flag, but they were all along the same lines, and I wanted something that was out of the box while still personal. I was spinning my tail on this project, and then Hot Wheels solved the problem for me by releasing a 1974 Brazilian Dodge Charger. Some of my longtime viewers will remember that my wife is not only the most amazing person on the planet, she's also Brazilian, so I hit the jackpot. Having spent time in Brazil, I can tell you that the culture is like no other. Right now is Carnival, and the whole country is celebrating like there's no tomorrow. It's a non-stop party with dancing, food, samba, and good vibes. So as an honorary member of Brazil, and just in time for Carnival, I wanted to show off my skills internationally and give in to my pop culture needs. So I came up with Equipe De Perigo. The Brazilian flag is one of the most iconic flags, well, I think so anyways, and easily more recognizable than most of the European countries. A yellow diamond on a field of green with an orb taken directly from the night sky showing 27 stars representing the states and federal district. With the words Ordem e Progresso at the very center of it all, it sums up Brazil's past, present, and future. Order and progress. While for no earthly reason the Dukes decided to paint their Dodge orange, I felt zero need to keep that aesthetic. I decided to go with the two main colors of the Brazilian flag, green and yellow. For that, I went with Pro Acryl's yellow and green, as they match the colors of the flag perfectly. I also used Pro Acryl's blue for the highlights, as blue and white are the secondary colors of the flag. Now, Brazil is famous for many things, including, but not limited to, football, soccer for the gringos. Growing up, I had never heard of Brazil. But if you asked me who Pelé was, I would be able to tell you in an instant. While I did choose Saturday morning cartoons in the end, my Saturday mornings and after-school time was spent playing youth soccer, and Pelé was our superhero. I even remember watching Pelé in Victory with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, he was famous. It's no secret that Brazil loves their football, and I had the privilege of being in Brazil for the Copa do Mundo in 2018. During that time, that I learned what nationalism really meant. Everywhere I went, games would be on no matter who was playing, but each time the Brazilian team played, the world stopped. I mean stopped. You could hear a few cars here and there, but it was quiet. Unless Brazil scored, then you heard every neighbor, every car, everyone cheer as loud as they could. Fireworks were set off, drums, pots, pans, anything to make noise and let the rest of the world know that Brazil has scored. If the other team was lucky enough to score against Brazil, crickets. During that time, I saw the legendary yellow and green jersey everywhere. And the 5 stars above the embroidered patch, those are the 5 times Brazil has won Copa do Mundo. No one else has 5 stars, and this year will earn number 6. These are just facts I'm here to report. Now, the history of Equipe De Perigo is one from the very heart of Brazil. While Sao Paulo may be a shining hub of humanity, elsewhere Brazilians have not had it easy, but they maintain their communities and culture without complaint. The brothers grew up in rural Brazil, and from an early age they developed a love for racing. Constantly racing each other on foot, bike, and eventually cars, their brotherly competition left the other teams in the dust. When they are on the track, they're ultimately racing each other while everyone else fights for third place. It is difficult for an independent team to come out of Brazil without Warden sponsorship. When a team gains notoriety, Warden Cadelia has them arrested, charged with, well, anything, and housed in the People's Penitentiary. There, she can strap them into a vehicle and force them to race on her behalf. The brothers have spent their racing career staying out of reach of Warden Cadelia, who would have nothing more than to lock them both inside one of her vehicles and take all the glory for herself. Trying to bring glory back to the common Brazilians and away from the oppressive Warden Cadelia, Equipe De Perigo partnered with Idris, who matched their skill, love for racing, and flat-out need for speed. It's a match made in heaven to unleash hell on the track. Recently, I signed up to partner with W Energy through their partnership program, but before I started, I wanted to try the product. After signing the proper forms, I placed my first order with all my discounts and goodies. Now, my normal routine is coffee in the morning and water supplemented by caffeinated sodas for the rest of the day. While I was pumped enough for work, I found myself getting more agitated at my mistakes and eager for distractions from painting. Well, my order arrived and I replaced all my sodas with 2 helpings of W Energy drink over the time that I would normally drink 3 or more sodas. I immediately noticed a big difference. Found it was more alert and focused, so much so that I lost track of time on the second day and, I forgot to eat. Oops. As for the partnership, well, only time will tell, but I'm on board and I think W is the answer to my unhealthy soda consumption. Now, to work on my morning coffee. In other news, my recent adventures out in the real world at the Humboldt Gaming Festival back in January will not be an isolated incident. My friend and I have been invited to the Reading Gaming Festival in Redding, California in the month of April. In addition to the amazing selection of comics and nerd gear from All Day Comics, I will be again showing off the channel, handing out a bunch more stickers, selling off some extra Hot Wheels, and selling some of my completed work. But wait, there's more! In addition to that, my friend and I will be at the Forest Moon Festival in Humboldt County in May 2026, where we'll be celebrating all things Star Wars. Stay tuned to find out when and where you can come by and say hi. And you thought I was done. If you haven't picked up a copy of GearGrinder magazine, head over to DriveThruRPG and grab one. You'll find the link down in the description below. I had the privilege to have some of my pictures featured in the current issue, and the next issue will have an interview with yours truly. Look for that in late February. Now I'm done, swear. Tune in next episode for a new creation direct from the heart of the Emerald Triangle. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find many more like it on my channel. If you haven't yet, taken a sec to subscribe and ring that bell. I really want to hear your ideas and constructive criticism, so leave a comment below and let me know what's on your mind. You can see more behind the scenes or bitsy content on my social media accounts. Look for me on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky Social, and Patreon. And while you party like it's Fat Tuesday, remember, they ain't gonna paint themselves.